I pulled some cards on the criminal part of the thing. They have the New York one, which is civil, and then they have criminal as well. Okay. So, what we have for the criminal, at the center of it, we have the things they've tried to get away with. Okay. Underneath of it, who all is involved in it. Okay. We're looking at those that are involved in it. Going into it's the hidden things. Okay. And then we have underneath of it trying to balance, seeing what they were juggling, what they were doing with their finance stuff. Okay. Looking at the abuse of power, the way they abused it, and the offerings they took and offerings they gave. Okay. So they offered, he offered to launder money. How did he get out of his, was almost to the point of bankruptcy. In fact, he was at bankruptcy a couple of times. Okay. And how did he get pulled out of it? An oligarch purchased a property, a mansion from him. It was a money laundering deal. He never went there, never lived there, never visited the property, but it was a money launder deal. Okay. So what we have underneath of it is, feeling tied up. This is weighing on his head. This is the card of waking up nights, just being inundated with these thoughts. There's going to come loss, okay, for the dark deeds, for the stuff that they were doing. And the government is after them and judgment is coming down. So it is not looking good for 45 with their criminal activities. Okay? It is not looking good for their criminal activities. Well, see, there was another question I was going to ask. Let me shuffle and see if I can remember what it was. There was another secondary part to this. Okay. Hold on a minute. So I'm going to look at trying to. Okay, let's look at the civil part of this. What is going to happen? Because we have the New York AG saying they have to comply with this, but his lawyers are saying they don't want to comply with it because there's a criminal investigation going on at the same time. And so if they have to come in and testify to these things, they'll turn it over to the criminal, and that you can't do that. So they're trying to stall it out on that part of it. So how is that going to go? Do his lawyers have a leg to stand on? And will this be railroaded for a time while they're doing the criminal? So what we have is, the abundance. They still want this information, how they're getting their money. Underneath of it all, this is still the energy going forward, the battle that they're in. So let's look and see what's at the center of it. So at the center of it, we have, it's about his finances, his money, okay? And with that is, I think they're also going to look at, that's usually my thing for his time in the White House, but it could also be, these properties that he has. Like I said, that one property, he did the money laundering deal on it, and that's what got him out of the financial difficulties he was in before. It gave him another big boost. So, following, we have justice on the heels, yeah, and the administration, is, they're going to do what they have to follow by law. So we'll find out what that is. But they're using the legal argument. The King of Cups is usually Biden. For me, it also means the Biden administration, the all of the people working for government in that thing. That includes the New York AG, the Justice Department, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to look at this and figure out what's the best. It's difficult because they have two different things going on at once, civil and criminal, okay? And they're looking at a lot of the same information. So let's look at what's going to be the outcome of the civil. What's going to happen with the civil? Yeah, the difficulty is these are running, simultaneously. And they say if we comply with the civil, it's going to affect the criminal. And you can't make us affect the criminal, okay? So it's about looking at the stuff they were juggling. Yeah, who all's involved with it, okay? This can ruin them financially if there's a way to bring this civil forward. In the center of it, their holdings, and a tower moment for them. So this is going to be a big, huge takedown, the civil, if they are able to get the information. Now, I think they have to weigh it, the civil against the criminal, okay? Outcome, we've got the big infighting with it, but she is not going to give up, okay? She is pushing this, and she's going to continue to push it. Underneath of it, he's got a strong argument. They need to bring the stinky fish forward and to face their losses, okay? So she is going to do all she can to make the civil case happen. And his lawyers are doing all they can to say, well, you can't make them comply, because if they do, you give this information to the criminal, and they could, So I think that if she can get them to comply and come in, they'll just plead the fifth. That's the only way around it that I could see, is if they get called in, that they would plead the fifth. In other words, yeah, I may be guilty, but I'm not going to help you with it, okay? Okay. So will there eventually be, okay, let's look and see the eventuality of the civil case penalizing them monetarily. Let's look at the civil case penalizing them monetarily. Okay. Okay. So, she's wanting to move this forward. Okay, she's wanting to move this forward. In the center of it, we have government. And looking at what what he's been getting away with, okay? Government triumphs over your, over your illegal actions. And he's stealing from the government. You inflate to get a loan, and then you deflate everything, and you're not paying your taxes. You're stealing from the government. So that's what it's talking about. We've got the government, we have the theft. He's stealing from the government. Okay? He keeps coming back to the Russia stuff. The Russia stuff. And that's going to hang him up. The Russia stuff is going to hang him up. So I think, when it comes to the civil thing, they're moving it forward, but I think that it's more important the criminal, maybe some of the criminal aspect. Maybe that's going to have to go forward first, but let's look and see. They're in it for the long haul. Okay, trying to be as temperate as they can. Because this is taking cooperation, okay? So if they have to bide their time on the civil, they will do it, but he owes the government, okay? He owes a lot of money to the government, and so but at the end we have also the criminal stuff going on. And part of it could be with the criminal, the Deutsche Bank stuff. The overseas, this is the overseas stuff, and that's going to hang him up as well. They've already gotten some testimony from Deutsche Bank and their thing in it. So we'll have to see. It's a little bit confusing and convoluted because we have two things going at once, criminal and civil. So let's do one more. What's going to happen with the criminal investigation? How is that? How is the criminal investigation going? What are we doing with the criminal investigation? Let's look and see if we can find out something. What can you tell us about the criminal side of the investigation? Okay. Let me see the other ones. At the center of it, they're still pushing to get information. It's about the thefts, and that's going to tie him up. I think that I'm just trying to figure out what that first one means, the walking away or the onward. Maybe it's a bit of an uphill battle, okay? Uphill battle. Because underneath of it, let's see, we have the judgment of his financial stuff. They're looking at all of it, okay? Assessing all of it. It's going to tie him up with his holdings, the way that he's done things, okay? I think it also, the first one could mean, they're on that journey and it's just full. It's overflowing with stuff. The cup is overflowing with stuff. And they're still going through all of this information, okay, shedding the light on all this information and all the things he's got, that he's got criminal activities, and they're kind of a bit bound up. There's so much there that they have to go, that they're feeling a bit tied up with this, okay? So I think it just means that there's an overwhelming amount of criminal activity and information they have to go through, because he's been doing this for years. This is not just his time in the White House that they're looking at. They're looking at the criminal organization that they've had ongoing for years. For years. Okay, so there's a ton of information that they have to go through. So I think that's what the tie-up is. The criminal investigation takes a long time because they're looking at all their activities. the New York AG in the civil is just looking at their tax stuff, okay? How they've inflated and deflated and stolen from the government, okay? And the criminal is going to take a while because it's looking at the whole, you know, all of the years that he's been doing this. So there's a ton, years and years and years and years of information to go through, okay? Oh my goodness. So let me ask, are we going to get any answers in the near future? Is anything going to come forward with this in the near future? Because they do have a valid point that the civil, the answers they give on the civil could be used criminally, okay? So that is a valid argument. And as much as we don't like it, it is a valid argument. So what we have going into it is working on this, working on the hidden things, okay? Working on it. The stuff is still to be coming out, okay? And they're working to keep this stuff hidden, okay? His team is working to try to keep this stuff hidden as long as they can, because it comes out, they can use it in the criminal. Okay, at the center of it, we have really wanting to push this action, and yeah, we're not liking what we're hearing. We want to see this stuff come to a conclusion. We're really pushing because we are unhappy with it dragging on and dragging on. Okay. Looking at the payoffs. Okay. It looks like it's going to be hung up for a while. Okay. It looked promising, you know, the AG is coming after them to make them comply. But I think what they're going to do is, if she can get them to come in, his attorney is making a valid argument. I know we don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it either. But it's saying, you know, that when it comes to financial payoffs and all of this stuff, it's taking a rest. Okay? Taking a rest for now. So this stuff is going to be continue to be hidden from because of the civil and the criminal is going on at the same time, if that makes sense. Okay? Because they can't force them to incriminate themselves. Okay? And if they give the civil testimonies, it's incriminating them. And then they would use that for the criminal probe. So it looks like it's too bad they're running these things, you know, at the same time. Okay? We got the criminal and the civil. It would have been better if they would have done the civil part of it first and then the criminal. Okay, but because we've got both of them going at the same time, this is what's causing this major faux pas of, you know, trying to push it forward. Because the civil, it will bankrupt them. It will bankrupt them. But they can't push the civil because the criminal is in the process. Oh, what a mess this is. So on that note, now that my head is spinning, after going through all of this, I'm going to leave this here. Love and light. We'll see you online. Oh, my goodness.